everybody to the November 19th, 2014 meeting of the Board of Directors of the Lake City Development Corporation. Let's stand and we can say the Pledge of Allegiance if you wouldn't mind. And Tony, you want to lead us today? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for that. Next thing on the agenda is public comment. Anyone that has public comments at this point for the board is welcome to take those at this time. You can come join us at the table if you would, and just give us your name and address, please.
Hi, I'm Gary Hurst. I live at 801 Pine, just down the street. And, just had heard about the presentation regarding the Innovation Center for the property across the street from my house that LCDC owns. And just wanted to express some of the concerns I had when looking at the website. Right now, the neighborhood has quite a residential atmosphere, and I was hoping that that would be maintained. I have concerns regarding increased lighting in the area, increased traffic in the area, and the size of the building. And frankly, that area is a very beautiful part, I think, of Coeur Lane. I watch tourists and people on the hiking trail route stop at that area all the time to view the wildlife that's there. And I just wanted to say that I'm very supportive of development of an innovation center. I think it's a wonderful idea. I just think the location is a somewhat odd choice for such a large structure that was proposed. So.
Okay, appreciate those comments. I think we might have a presentation on that next month, so just be alerted to that maybe
okay.
for our next monthly regular meeting. Dave.
Gary, do you live on the, I guess it'd be the northeast corner of 8th and Pine?
I am on the southwest, let's see, northeast, yes, White House on the corner, yeah.
I have to always think back, my grandparents lived in even-numbered, figuring all that out, but, okay, so you're on the northeast corner, so you're kind of kitty corner from that, I think it's a tan and cream-colored house.
Correct, and,
okay.
and I've spoken with...
We don't own that one, by the way.
Yeah, I've spoken with multiple neighbors in the area, and I had not had any contact with Mr. Smoot other than when I brought this up. I received an email, but had not had the opportunity to speak with him regarding it, so I don't know where the structure would be aligned and how it would be set. But speaking with the neighbors in the area, they also have similar concerns in the periphery surrounding that, the people that would be impacted by that. And I have concerns for home values, and it's somewhat of a family and mostly single family homes. So I just worry about the impact of the structure.
Yeah, we don't know any of those questions either. So
yep. Okay.
Join us in December.
Yeah, all right.
Just wanted to get it on the radar.
Sure.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Anyone else? Welcome.
Hello.
Your name and address, if you would
My
mind.
name's Carl Wickman. I live at 810 East Young Avenue, Coeur Lane. I'm here to address the same subject as Gary. Just briefly interesting looking over some comments on this concept that I was reading on the computer. And I have concerns about the noise and traffic situation. And since the improvements to McEwen Park with the new parking lot here, the traffic has increased dramatically on, of course, 8th Street and also on these north-south streets that feed off of 8th. Young now gets a lot more through traffic because of that. So there's all that kind of concerns I have about adding more to that. And as the situation stands right now, they really, really need a yellow flashing light out here that says 25 miles an hour, just like they have on 7th Street. It looks nice and quiet right now, but during the summer it can get quite raucous, to say the least, out there. So my big concern also is adding to traffic congestion and compatibility with a residential neighborhood right across the street from this situation. And perhaps I thought, boy, this would make a great anchor tenant for the revitalization of East Sherman Avenue. What are we looking for? We talk about it all the time. What are we going to put down there? Great. great spot. They're still close to downtown and the coffee shop. So I'm not against the tech center. I just have these concerns. So I think it's good to put the iron in the fire. In reading all the comments online and stuff, there's a lot of, optimistic thoughts about it, and it's a good thing and it's a great thing, but also I want, more consideration given to than just the gee whiz, this will be great. There's the reality of people that live with it day to day. If I lived out in the suburbs somewhere, I'd say, that's great. I want to drive down there and hang out. It'll be a great place to hang out. So that's my comments.
Other questions of Mr. Wickman? Appreciate that.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for coming down, and I'd remind you too again, you might want to check in next month. And
Okay.
I'd also encourage both of you to go chat with the proponents of this a little bit.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Yeah, Greg. Welcome. And
Thanks, guys.
again,
Greg Johnson, Midtown Neighbor Association. Just really here to thank Tony for extending and understanding that we have a walkabout tomorrow at 1. So thank you for that. I did shoot an email out asking. I do have a handful of neighbors that a Saturday would be better. I didn't want to forfeit our Thursday, knowing that we had that set, but knowing that this is got some motion that maybe a Saturday in the future could take place. So I just wanted to put that out there and make that official. So just here to thank you for tomorrow, and we're excited about it. So thank you.
I plan to attend. I don't know how many others.
Okay.
And I think we were trying to get it done fairly quickly.
I think we can wrap it up in 45 minutes
Yeah,
or so.
I mean,
or
on the calendar. We
Oh,
didn't,
sure,
we didn't
sure.
want to wait too
Okay.
long. Yeah.
okay, cool. Yeah, it won't
So
be.
maybe we can do a second one. We'll see how it goes.
I think if we have some time for it, that'd be. I have a handful of neighbors that would appreciate that. They're 9 to 5 at the desk type.
I get
deal.
that part.
So, all right, cool. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Greg.
I just have one question, Dave.
Nick?
Sorry,
Sorry.
didn't get away that easy.
Okay.
So last night I was watching the city council presentation, and you made a presentation to city council along with, I think, 4 other people.
Correct.
Made presentations concerning the housing company's development there. And a couple of different people made a statement that you have a better plan. And I guess my comment is that in December, we're going to have a hearing, or potentially make a decision with the housing company of going forward. We need to know that plan. If you've got a better plan, we need to know what it is.
There is a group of investors that have approached the housing company for purchasing that particular piece of property and then wanting to work with LCDC. The price has become, I was told every time they have made an inquiry over it or a discussion on it, it has gone up in price, and it's to a point where it's kind of a ridiculous price for what it is. So I think that's up for discussion. That's why we needed some help from City Council, some more help from you guys to work with the housing company and come in with a project that we think that we do have a project that would fit the bill. So maybe that could be discussed tomorrow. And also, if City Council is going to come up with a workshop for us, that we would bring in these developers and we can just discuss the project.
So what's your time frame on having something concrete enough that you can present to LCDC so that we could start to compare it and contrast that to the housing company's
You would need it by when?
Well, my understanding, Tony, is we're going to be having this on a hearing on December. Is that correct?
Yeah, the board will make a more formal decision at the December board meeting.
Okay.
So once we make a
decision-
decision, we're pretty much committed, my understanding. Is that correct?
It would be conditional approval, but still,
Right.
in order to meet their timing for their tax credit applications, they pretty much need to know from us in December if we're conceptually on board with them. So that is a pretty important date, Craig.
Okay. I guess I would bring to the forefront of there's still a lot up for grabs here of how this project is being developed as it stands right now, and the potential of other opportunities here. And now we're under the thumb of a deadline for tax credits. So It's a little frustrating, and we'll do our best to get you something.
Well, let me just give you my input, and this is my own personal side
Certainly.
of it. I mean, I've only been on the board a couple of years, so this has already been through this iteration once before. And it seems like we have been moving forward with the housing company, and you've known that for a long period of time, yet you keep saying there's going to be a better offer, a different offer, a better proposal, whatever, and nothing ever materializes. But yet they always keep coming back with a plan to move forward. How many more months do you need? I mean, if we stonewall at this time and say no to the housing company and they miss their deadline for their tax credits, at what point in time could you have something?
Okay.
I mean, I guess we need to have something more concrete than just, there was a better plan out there, but it's nebulous.
I'm going to make it very clear that we are just neighbors, understanding that this project doesn't fit. We feel it doesn't fit the neighborhood. The outcome of what 2030 vision of how communities in the city work together. This is not working for us. So as neighbors, we're doing our best to come up with a better plan and approach people. This is not a full-time job for us.
Understood.
We're not developers. We're
that.
not. So I understand the slow pace of this. It's frustrating for us too. But yes, the housing company and LCDC get credit for, and I don't know if it was for the best, always the best, the changing of this project, but it's changed many times. And so we're trying to roll with the flow on this thing and try to have input on it. Not always heard, I'll be honest with you. Or the information that was coming from the mini meetings, mini meetings that we've had with Mrs. Goodlander and some other people involved, it wasn't as clear as it should have been.
Right. I understand that, but I mean, sometimes not always heard is perception. I mean, you might not think you're being heard because you are not getting what you want, but others might be getting heard too.
Okay, I'll give you that, but
and that's the way it is in life.
Totally,
I mean, we always think we're not getting heard.
Perception perception is.
But bottom line is, I think there's been a lot of, we've really slowed down the process to the point that we've allowed the input here, but absent a better offer, we need to continue to move forward.
To pull it right out of the bag is that, there's an offer. There can be an offer made between $400 and $450,000 for that piece of partial land of what the housing company has. They want $800,000 for it. They want $800,000 for that piece of property, which doesn't obviously pencil out to be a very good buy. They want every nickel that they have invested in that piece of property, and obviously that's their prerogative.
Right.
It's anyone's prerogative to put a price tag on their piece of property or their home or their car or whatever, but that seems unrealistic.
But I mean, when you run the pro formas of what they're proposing, based on the price of the property that they have into it, they can make it work. Your concern is obviously the height is number one, and
They can
number
make
two, it's the composition of it, so that you can't get a pro forma to match based upon the scaled down model.
Well, the folks that want to buy it for $450,000 and work with LCDC with the rest of it feel that they can make it work. That's what I'm getting from
I think
these folks.
we need to see a proposal.
Okay, you got it. We'll make it happen. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Greg.
Great.
Welcome.
Hello.
I saw you on TV.
You.
That's what people say all the time.
I'll
Yeah.
try really
Welcome.
hard not to
And-
repeat myself.
And your name and address for our people at home, please.
Of course. My name is Amy Lyons, and I'm here on behalf of Second Street Homeowners, Inc. And the only observation I want to make today is that it does appear that the tail is wagging the dog here. There seems to be a tremendous amount of deference to the housing company and to its deadline and to its wishes and to its desires. And I just wonder if there's not been some false sense of urgency and crisis created here. Yes, they have a deadline, but it just seems very sad when a government entity is impatient with ordinary people who have so many things coming at them. Their work, their families, their parents, their children, that they haven't been more adept and more skillful at finding a way to accommodate what's essentially an arm of government, which is how I understand the housing company and how I understand the LCDC.
Appreciate your comment.
I don't work for the housing company. I don't work for the LCDC, but I pay taxes. I love my neighborhood, and it's very disappointing to me to have that feeling that we just don't perceive what might be best for us, and I'd respectfully suggest that individuals do now, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Dave, question?
You said the Second Street homeowners?
Second Street Homeowners, Inc.,
Okay,
because
describe
I live on Second Street, and we have a homeowners association, and I think the numbers start with, 835, and they go right through to, 841 or 843. We're across the street from a senior community, and we are surrounded by rental properties and also vacation rentals by owner. And that is my neighborhood.
So, do the people that comprise that all live in kind of a planned housing development, or do you guys just all get together at a barbecue and say, let's incorporate and see if we can put some, describe to me what that is. I'm familiar with Second Street.
Second Street Homeowners, Inc., which is a corporation, which is the homeowners association for that very tiny development. It's six townhomes, and then there is a small property on there, and one of the owners doesn't live there, but is
So you guys,
a former elected.
yeah, so you guys are formalizing the fact that you've got CC&Rs, and you probably have an annual meeting and pay some.
We have
infrastructure.
multiple meetings, and I've been authorized to say this. Yes, we are formalized.
Okay, thank you.
And Amy, just if I can clarify a little bit more. So what are the east-west streets that bound your second portion of Second Street?
We're between Foster and Miller.
Okay,
So I'm right around the corner
Yeah.
from Roosevelt.
gotcha.
All right?
Those little townhomes that were built about 25 years ago. or so.
Exactly. And then they became condo conversions. And
Okay. Thank you
Okay.
for your comment.
Thank you.
you're very welcome.
Anyone else? Okay, I don't see anybody else. Thank you all for your comments. Next item of business is approval of the minutes for October 15, 2014. We looked at the minutes.
Make a motion for approval.
Moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Are there any comments, questions, or corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Our next item is one that's kind of unusual for us. We have a property auction bid opening for the 728 Sherman Avenue property divestiture. And for people at home, again, that property is on Sherman Avenue, sort of immediately across from the southern T where 8th Street comes in. Is that right? So I guess the drill is I'm going to open these. We have 3 bids that came in as a response to our advertisements. So I'm going to open those bids. We will likely take them under advisement. We'll need to make sure they, qualify. So
Denny, what was the minimum bid?
the minimum bid was $150,000, which is the appraised amount we received for the property.
Does it have to be a cash bid, or can it be an in-kind bid?
Per our advertisement, we did leave some opportunity for a cash and/or exchange of property. Obviously, any exchange would have to involve another appraisal to make sure that values were equal.
Thank you.
So these were received all on,
All today around
today.
between 2 and 3.
so I'm going to try to open them in order, although it's kind of hard because two of them say 2:15.
Came in at the same time.
All right, so I'll open this first. And I didn't bring my opener, so bear with me here. See if I can do this while getting a paper cut. I feel like the people on the Academy Award. Okay, first bid is from Copper Basin Construction, it looks like. I'm going to give these to our legal counsel just to review briefly before we announce them, to make sure they're in proper form. Second bid is from Miller Development Group, LLC, by Chad Oakland. And a third bid from Fifth Peak LLC. I cannot read the name of the principal that signed it. Looks like a Philip Provost. Yeah. Who was it? Philip Provost. Those are the three bids we received.
Philip Provost's bid doesn't have proof of ability to pay, so I think we would,
It's also a lower number.
it's also a lower number, so it doesn't matter, but I would think we wouldn't be able to accept that one because it doesn't have proof of funds as required by the bids. The Copper Basin bid was for $161,600, and the Miller Development Group was for $161,250. Very close together.
Can you repeat those, please? 160.
Copper Basin is $161,600, and Miller Development Group is $161,250, and both of them appear to comply with the bid requirements otherwise.
Are they both cash
Both
offers?
cash offers.
The Miller Development Group is cash. This appears to be a borrowing. Evidence of the Copper Basin appears to be a financial capacity to purchase the property without a financing contingency. So
So they're both cash.
they're both cash.
No exchanges. So with that, it would seem like if they both qualify financially, the higher bid would be the one we would want to accept, I would assume.
It's the Copper Basin construction.
Yeah. So being that clear cut, seems like we could take action on that today, or can we?
I think you could take action to direct Tony and I to ensure that, assuming that the bids are proper after further review and then negotiation of a purchase and sale agreement with them.
Okay, subject to
So
the terms of that agreement?
So can I just qualify?
Yeah.
So the Fifth Peak LLC was a non-qualifying bid is what we're going to...
And it was $151,100.
Okay.
So we have a motion that we accept the bid subject to verification by legal counsel and our executive director
Compliant.
of compliance with the bid specifications and subject to the terms of a negotiated purchase and sale agreement with Copper Basin.
Second, correct.
So that was Mr. Hoskins and Mr. Arman.
Correct. Get that text. You're good, Tony. All right, any discussion? Do we need a roll call on that?
No, just a motion.
No discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Next item also involves purchase of real property, but on the other way. This is the Burlington Northern Santa Fe purchase and sale agreement that I think you all have been provided a copy of.
I can show, Mr. Chairman, I can show on the map once again to remind everybody what we're buying. If that-
Perfect, yeah, would you please, Tony?
Just to remind everybody of the geography of the acquisition for this evening. Last night, the City of Coeur d'Alene agreed to purchase the segment of the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad that stretches from this red line on the west side of the old Atlas Mill site down to about this red line on the east side of the Atlas Mill site. LCDC will decide this evening if we will acquire the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad right-of-way beginning at this point in Riverstone up to this point where it enters the Atlas Mill site, which is out of our area, and also this segment of the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad that begins at Hutter and goes to the west end of the Atlas Mill site. So all in all, there's three segments in the acquisition. The city has agreed last night to purchase this piece, and LCDC is considering purchasing this piece this evening in the River District and this piece this evening that resides in the Lake District. Any other, is good enough?
Any other questions for Tony on that? And again, the purchase price for our segments, Tony?
Tony, could you just go back to the map real quick and kind of show the segment that Burlington Northern is requesting, that they have is a variance? Is that-
Easement back for use.
Yes, the easement area that they requesting begins right here at the crossing on Hutter Road and extends to right about here. There's tracks still in place. They want to have those tracks remain in place so they can store and switch cars to service clients to the west. And so they would require an easement for that piece of the acquisition. That's 42 feet wide and 1,400 feet long, if my memory serves. The easement is, there's no term on the easement. They will disband the easement or quit the easement when they feel they no longer need that space to service their customers. So it's kind of open-ended on that.
I think the city does believe, if Mr. Gridley represented, that the city does feel that that's sufficient to put a trail, though, because the property is 60 feet wide.
Right, so the
So
remaining...
there's 18 feet that would be able to be put alongside those tracks that would service as a trail to do a connection with the Centennial Trail.
Is there any remuneration for the easement, or is it just on their terms?
No.
We tried.
Danielle, is there any restriction that disallows them from putting double track in there?
Well, they have the 42 feet, I guess, so they wouldn't, I don't think that they could fit they couldn't put
Okay.
double track in that amount of space.
Okay.
There is another requirement that's, I think, kind of material, and that is that the city or that we and/or the city put in a chain link fence on that 1,400 feet to keep
South portion.
in between
South
the
side.
proposed trail and the tracks. And they articulate that as their safety requirement. I can anticipate that some of the folks in Mill River aren't going to really like that.
Well, and that is required once it becomes used as a trail.
Once the trail goes in.
So until the trail goes in, that fence wouldn't be required, but
And they are requiring that we, or the city, pay for this fence.
Yes.
Correct? And they're not the easiest group to negotiate with because they hold all the cards. So it's, while you would think we should have them pay for the fence, it's not going to work that way.
They're almost tougher than negotiating with a bank.
Pretty tough.
they've
Touche.
Yeah.
with any negotiation that we've experienced, they've just said, we're giving you a really good deal.
Mhm.
I mean, they think that they have negotiated.
And this is existing track, so it's not like they're going to come in and put down new track. This already exists
Correct.
as we sit, so it's not creating anything new. It's already there.
Well, and our understanding that it's only used about once a week,
Yeah.
at
Well,
least currently.
yeah. And they say they need that length of track to service any potential new customers that develop to the west in Post Falls, which I don't know if any new customers will develop or not.
And so the total purchase price to the railroad for that entire section, including that, would be purchased by the city, and that would be purchased by us, is $2.5 million.
$1.5 million, and of that, the city is paying $1,016,273, and LCDC is paying $1,483,727.
And that figure's based upon the total square feet of area being purchased
Correct.
beginning to end,
And
even though the appraisal has some varying values for different segments.
That's based on a $295 average square footage price.
Okay.
And the appraisal came in at what
appraisal
price?
value, last appraised was
million.
around $4 million.
4 million.
So it is a bargain price.
The cost of the due diligence, are we going to share that with the city? Survey and the environmental and all that?
Yes,
Okay.
we've agreed to share the cost of the survey with the city.
Pretty complicated title?
I was just going to say, the survey is critical.
Yeah.
Because so much of the title is back in the very early 1900s that it's almost indecipherable. I mean, the exceptions to the title policy you can hardly read. So to have the surveyor go out there and identify where these easements are, and there's some issues with reversions of property. There's a lot on the title that we really need to see on a survey.
High water mark back in the day.
Right.
Okay.
And we have 50 days to do that upon signature this evening.
We assume all environmental risk, or does the Burlington
They're going to
Northern
do an environmental
assessment? What level?
and in the next 10 days after we execute the agreement, and then that'll be part of the ability of the city and LCDC to back out if something comes back there that you're uncomfortable with. They're going to do it, and they're going to
So what level
share it
of an
with us.
assessment will they do? Do you have an idea?
Level one.
Level
yeah.
one, okay.
Paperwork.
So the 50 days review period starts when the railroad signs.
Right.
Yeah.
I would think something would show up on the level one because it's a railroad track. The level two is probably where we really see, what's there.
They say that with the transport of just wood, I mean, it's basically just been a lumber line, that they don't expect any environmental
There was
issues.
never a treatment plant, nothing of the significant negative environmental side. So they're
Right.
Creosote would probably be the biggest thing.
And we didn't
Yeah.
run into any problems with the other railroad property we bought.
Diesel from the locomotive and things like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
diesel.
The down payment, is it refundable?
It is.
Yeah, there is a 10% earnest money requirement upon signing. The city is cutting a check today for $101,627, and LCDC will, if the board so approves, will cut two checks that will total $148,373 as earnest money that is refundable should the purchase not go forward and would be applied towards the purchase price if it does go forward.
Do we need to split the way we handle it because of the two different districts that it's in?
There'll be two checks cut for the earnest
But I
money.
mean, as far as the agreement, can we tie both districts into one agreement?
I think so. You're one entity. I mean, we always
Okay.
contract, you're always contracting as the Coeur d'Alene Urban Renewal Agency, DBA, Lake City Development Corporation, no
just
matter
the-
what district it is.
It's just the funding that needs to come from
The agency
split
that's the
sources.
party.
Right.
not the
Funding
district.
needs to be kept separate, like you say.
And we can terminate the contract if during that period of 50 days we deem it inappropriate for our uses. It's pretty open, pretty broad.
Okay.
I think there's some
I think they have other people that want it, so.
chance that we could get some extension, although that's not built in automatically
And then
for us.
the plan, once we acquire, is to deed to the city.
Well, we have to decide that.
Okay.
We don't have to. but it seems appropriate if they're going to use it as a trail and fence it, that
Right, I've talked with the city of Coeur d'Alene about, since the railroad is requiring that easement, that most likely the LCDC would deed that segment of the acquisition to the city so that they can deal with the railroad, and we can still help build the trail and things like that, but the city would own that segment after we acquire it. It would be the plan of action.
Oh, we've been working towards this for a long time, so.
Yeah, it's not the perfect deal, but it's obviously a long-term goal of this community to get these rights away and get access to the waterfront and have these trails, and so it's not the perfect deal, but it's the best deal we'll probably get with a railroad. I don't know how many decades negotiations have been going on with the railroad.
It also helps control the future of these parcels as they come before the city for development, so that's important.
Well, it's critical, yeah, that the city or a public entity like LCDC owns it. I guess Mike Gridley's pretty he's the railroad expert. He's comfortable with this.
He is comfortable with it. And he thinks that it's the best that we're going to be able to negotiate with them. And I frankly think that his connections with the railroad have really helped get this done.
Right.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion that we approve the purchase of this property.
we actually have a resolution. Mick, if you
Resolution?
can read
Perfect.
that.
Resolution 15-02, a resolution of the Coeur d'Alene Urban Renewal Agency doing business as the Lake City Development Corporation, Kootenai County, Idaho, authorizing the real estate purchase and sale agreement between LCDC, Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railway Company, and the City of Coeur d'Alene related to the purchase of certain real property located in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
So it's been moved and seconded that we adopt that resolution.
Who was
Moved.
the
second?
Did anyone second it? Sorry. Scott has seconded it. Mick moved, Scott seconded. Any discussion? Any additional discussion? I think this is it's a key acquisition for the community.
Yeah,
And
too.
even though it's not always all that much fun to deal with the railroads, it's a piece of property that should be in public ownership, so I'm in support. Roll call.
Jordan?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Caldwell?
Aye.
Hoskins?
Yes.
Hatcher?
Yes.
Arman?
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay. Next item, presentation. So we have back from the North Idaho Family Group, Candace Godwin. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
We also have Councilman Miller here that's interested in this project. So welcome. Your pleasure. Whichever.
I will do that. I'm here to support Candace for our board of directors, and I'll be here for support. Just to fully disclose, I am on the Coeur d'Alene City Council, but in my day job, I have a contract with the North Idaho Family Group as their enterprise partner, so I work on some of their funding projects, and I've been really involved in the Education Information Center. So I wanted to make sure that there weren't going to be any questions unanswered, so between the two of us, hopefully we can take care of that.
Great. Welcome.
Yeah.
Floor is yours, Candace.
Okay, so at the last meeting, you had decided to put the request that we put out for becoming a visionary partner under advisement, and you had asked for some additional information, and we have provided you with that information, so I hope you've all had an opportunity to review that, and I want to give you an update about where we are right now with the project, and then hopefully answer any questions that you have, and again, invite you, LCDC, to become a visionary partner for this program. Since we met last time, we've had another group join becoming a visionary partner, and that is our higher education folks. North Idaho College, Lewis Clark State College, and the University of Idaho have joined, have come on board as a visionary partner for this program. That was something that we knew was going to happen. We were waiting for that to happen, and they have agreed to become a partner. So I think
with funding?
With funding, yes. As a visionary partner, they have agreed to the $15,000 visionary partner level for 2 years. That's $7,500 per year. So the three of those three entities are supporting this project and will be a visionary partner, along with Knudsen Chevrolet and Waste Management of Idaho. So they are our three visionary partners. In addition to that, we also have, I believe, three more that are very close to joining us. Obviously, I can't disclose who they are, but we hope to have at least one of those by the end of the year. It may be something with budgets and whatnot and decision-making process that it doesn't roll out until the earlier part of next year, but we do have other partners that are interested in joining us. So that's that piece that I wanted to update you with. So you'll see in your packet you had requested some information about our board of directors. That information is there. Be happy to answer any questions on that. You also requested some information about our nonprofit status, and there's a letter there that is basically stating that we have applied, and we're just waiting for that to come through. So we have that. There was a question about were there other organizations that have done this type of thing, or where this all sort of came from. And we did provide you with a piece of information called the Collective Impact, and it basically talks about backbone organizations, which is what our organization is, and how we are actually the ones that are driving it. We have partners, the collaborative partners that want to make this happen, but we're providing the manpower and the staffing to bring the vision together and pull it forward, or actually bring it forward with other partners in the community. So I don't know if that specifically answers that question, but I think it really does bring to light that this isn't something that we've just sort of made up, that it's actually other organizations out there that do this type of thing and have been successful at it. That's where we are with that. There's also a piece from a letter from Steve Griffiths with his support from Jobs Plus for this. I had spoken in my presentation earlier about the job retention and job recruitment possibilities of this education information portal, and I think Steve sees that, and obviously we have their support for this project as well. Again, I'll bring back to your attention that this is a part of Vision 2030. I know that I think in your packet you may have just received a sort of an image scan of the part of the plan, but it was identified, and our organization has been identified in the actual plan. This is the vision piece. This is the plan piece for lifelong learning opportunities, and we've been named in two sections of the Vision 2030 where this particular project fits in with that vision and into that plan. So we have that piece as well for good support. And the rest of it are our financial information. You had asked about our funding and how it will be sustainable. There is a piece in here that identifies what level our visionary partners are coming in at, and also for the sustaining partners, which are out there in the further years, the people that are actually going to benefit from the website and the information that we'll be gathering, so you can see how we plan to continue to fund this once we get it up and going. And then our budget projections, profit loss, and our balance sheet. All of that information is there for you to take a look at. So I think I've supplied everything that you've requested. I will ask you again, and I will say again, it would be a pleasure for us to have LCDC become a visionary partner with this program, and I would be happy to answer any questions that I can.
Okay. Questions of Candace. And again, the request is for $7,500 for 2 years for a total of $15,000. Questions of Kansas?
I'll just make this comment. I kind of look at this as being very similar, not same tasking, but similar as to our Jobs Plus commitment that we've done the last 2 years. It's hard to quantify and say that this is all going to be spent in the Lake or the River District, but as with Jobs Plus, obviously that's the case also. So I think it certainly has some merit. These ladies are committed. They're not killing the program with a bunch of salaries and overhead in that endeavor. I talked with Kiki a little bit yesterday, and we discussed how do we quantify, or how do we measure the deliverables on this. That's somewhat difficult also, but it's kind of like a guy told me one time, you'll know it when you see it. So what's good for our particular niche of the world is, I think, good for North Idaho, for this segment of Kootenai County, and I think this is a step in the right direction for that. I wish the education partners were in for a little bit more for the direct.
Would you ask them for me? Because that'd be great.
We can try. They're going to be down here next month, I think. We might do some linkage, but
Thanks.
at least they're in, and that's important. So,
Mick?
Denny, I'd like to thank you for the chance to kind of make my comments on this. I actually had a chance to visit with Kiki too, and I think a lot of the questions I had from a month ago were somewhat resolved, because I think we see this as an opportunity that everybody from preschool to postgraduate school could use. One of our initiatives is jobs, and I kind of agree with Dave. It's a little bit like Jobs Plus. We do things as an entity to promote this area, to make it a more livable area. And I think this is a great opportunity to help with the education of a broad mass of people, to get them more employable and make them more livable, more high dollar type of wage for some people potentially, by having the access to this information. So I think it's a lot of potential.
Yeah, and I would just say you did provide us the information we asked for, because we just didn't have enough last time to really make a decision. I was very confused exactly how it all worked. But after hearing it and looking at it, I'd be in support of what you're requesting.
Other questions or comments? I've got just maybe a question, Candace. The 2-year commitment, right? So I'm thinking in my mind, everything's going to go well, and you're going to meet your benchmarks, and then we're going to have lots of good activity going on in year 2 as well. But in our role as sort of guardians of the public coffers, would it be inappropriate to suggest that the second year's commitment be sort of conditioned upon what we deem as adequate progress towards your objectives? And maybe you could tell me if you have compartmentalized what your benchmarks are for year 1. Where do you think you should get with our the half of our commitment? If that's clear enough.
I'll take that one.
I'll let you take that.
I actually explained that to somebody the other day this way, and if you'll indulge me, I said, if the conversation says, hi, I have a widget, it costs $5. Right. And they said, that's great. I'll give you $2.50 and I'll use it for a year, and then I'll give you the other $2.50. And I said, hi, I have a widget, it costs $5. And what we've done in that scenario is the budget of the visionary partners is what builds the product. So we have sustaining partners, we have advertisers, and we have grant projects that will fulfill the sustainability after the project is built. But the dollars that we're collecting from visionary partners are the ones that we need the money for the web designers, for the marketing plan, for the project to work. So to answer your question, if I said, sure, we'll take half of the money for the widget, I'm not going to be able to provide you the widget that I just proposed.
Yeah, and I appreciate that answer. Your finished product, doesn't come that quickly in this deal.
And so what we have now is we've built the database, we've built the contracts, the architecture for the website, we have outlines, and we have people who have been volunteering time based on when we get to this point, we will have hit the benchmark that says we're now fully able to put the final bells and whistles in the website and we can launch. So that's what I've been doing for the last year, is talking to folks to put this package together and make sure that that is where we're at. So to answer your question, if I was and you said, well, we'll do it, I've done a payment plan. That's why it's in a 2-year program that says, because I can go to a line of credit and say, well, I've got contracts for the next of it. But if it's a contingent plan, it's going to be difficult to deliver upon the initial promise. So that's where I've, been out to say, well, the visionary partners need to say, we're going to come in for this much and, this much next year, but if it's not, we're going to come in for this much in the following year, then it's really hard for me to move forward with the contract for the full price for the website that needs to be done.
Appreciate that answer. I think it
And I
helps.
want to add another thing. One of the things that the visionary partners bring to the table is that the initial plan for this had a phase 2, which is a physical location. And just recently I've talked with Phil Boyd in the Four Corners project planning. And my personal vision would be to have a physical location for the Education Information Center, and that's kind of one of the birthplaces of the name, because I feel like human beings like to touch and feel things, and it's real, and websites just aren't as real as that. The other thing is that Janet Burke, who's on our board, is been in the education world in grant writing for her entire career and has already identified hardware and facility grants and things that we could come in with a real whiz-bang product for the community. But that's kind of the pie-in-the-sky version of it that we aren't really putting into this proposal, because that's if we get that technology grant. And so we don't want to promise it, and if we can say, we can't have it. But that would be putting a location right in the middle of the new project. And I also have a backup plan to possibly become an affiliate partner at the Chamber of Commerce. So I've already talked to Steve Wilson about that, to say if we want to move, and the visionary partners are the ones who are going to make that decision. Right. If they say we want to move forward, pursue the grant to see if we can get a physical kiosk location, we have a plan A and B for that as well. So, and that's another thing that we think, that if it's visual and it's something that folks can walk into, whether it's just a portal website there, it's a tangible. So I wanted to jump on the backside of that, of the sort of the larger plan of the direction we're going to.
Okay, other questions?
So you're confident of the long-term sustainability of this after you get through the first 2 years and get built?
I don't think education or the internet are going away anytime soon. And I think that the beauty of this is that that's exactly what it is. It's linking information, all of the sources, and as those education facilities here change their models, what they provide, we have a smaller task in just assuring we're already in touch with the database of people that are connected and growing. So the answer is no, I don't think it's going away.
So will you be back in 2 years or in 2 years? Or is this a one-time request?
It's designed as a one-time request.
Our budget shows that by 2017, if you look under Visionary Partners, there's nothing allocated there. By that time, we'll have our Visionary Partners, and hopefully by that time, our Visionary Partners will have come together and made the vision for where we go in Phase 2, because Phase 1 will be up and going at that point. So, and that's, as a Visionary Partner, you get to sit at that table and make those decisions. And also make sure that what we're doing, what the project does, is relating and serving the people in your districts.
You said this was your day job in addition to the council, but I don't see very big salaries here for a day job.
They aren't, but this is what we have is the North Idaho Family Group is the nonprofit that operates the Education Information Center, and this is the budget for that piece. So the other elements within the North Idaho Family Group, there's other revenue-generating projects that will pay for shared time inside of there. And I'm just hoping to get paid at the end of the day.
At some point.
Dave?
Ladies, is this new ground that's being plowed, or are you modeling it after something somewhere else, or tell us about how you came to this?
Yes and no. We have looked, if you find something, let me know. We have looked for a portal website that had pre-K through career. How we came to it initially was working with the Family Magazine and a lot of our advertisers and our database being built through that. That was the buzzword, is pre-K through career. And we came to it secondarily by a lot of our advertisers and people that we were doing articles regarding education and the transition of education and what that looked like on a state level. And as all of our affiliates were saying, well, this is what's happening here, and people were at the podium saying it's all about pre-K through career. And I'm about, let's make it simple. I want to make it simple for people to be able to get to that point. And anyone that I talked to about, I wanted to write an article about that,
and doing the research, and then asking all of my affiliates to do the research. They said, well, we found a lot of portal websites that deal with community colleges and their affiliates, or groups of colleges like we have here, the higher ed group, or a portal website that will do an AI profile to tell you what you'd be good at if you go to college. But there wasn't one that we found that was like what we're doing, that has, all of the editorial component to it, and it's regionally based. It's not just, here's a link to University of Phoenix and Columbia and whatever else. It's regionally based so that you can find what you want pre-K through career
Here.
within an hour from the heart of downtown.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. It's the pleasure of the board.
Tony, we have the ability to take this out of current budget for
Yes.
the next 2 years.
Yes.
Split between the two districts.
Yes. So it'd be $7,500 this fiscal year, as I understand it, and $7,500 next fiscal year. Shouldn't be a problem.
Split 50-50 between the two districts.
Correct.
Okay. I make a motion that we accept the offer to be a visionary partner.
Second that.
Moved and seconded to contribute $15,000 over 2 fiscal years to be a visionary partner for this project. Any discussion?
Well, I hope this works out great, and you get this rolling, and then it's an economic development tool that they can tout when they're trying to recruit companies and point to this. So, I think this is, for the size of this request, it's probably a small risk with what the reward potential could be.
Visionary things do have risk, and congratulate you on your vision for this. So, any other discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll make you proud you did it.
Keep us
Thanks.
posted on the other members, too. We'd like to
Oh,
know
yeah,
how it's progressing.
absolutely.
The rollout, when it happens, you'll be at the table, so.
Yeah, so it sounds like we will need to designate a representative to that.
Thanks again for your
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next presentation is an initiative update for CDA Vision 2030. Nicole Kaler, welcome.
Thank you. I want to thank the board for inviting Coeur d'Alene 2030 to come back and give you an update on what we've done since September. You'll see that there's a 2-page document that you all should have, and the first page is just kind of a facts and fiscal review of our phase 1 of the project. I know we talked a lot about the accomplishments over the course of the past year, but we didn't talk about the budget because it hadn't been finalized, and just wanted to give you that information since you are a phase 1 contributor. So initially, our budget for 12 months was just over $150,000. Phase 1 actually took 15 months. Other communities that we've modeled our project after have taken up to 2 years, so it wasn't a huge surprise to us or our consultant that we needed to take those extra 3 months. In those 15 months, we ended up spending just over $163,000. So we did our best to cut costs where we could to extend our project for 15 months. Part of it was our consultant worked with us to cut back his agreement so that we could have some cost savings. And obviously, we were able to secure more donations to extend the project. Remaining in our account after phase 1 was just under $230, so we did a really good job at spending that money. In addition to LCDC, in the first year, 26 other donors sponsored the project. So we thank you and the other community organizations that supported phase 1. Moving into what we've done since September, which we last spoke to you, is that we have incorporated as an organization and have filed for 501c3 nonprofit status. So along with that, we've drafted articles of incorporation, bylaws, our project structure, and our work program for this next year, which will officially start this October and go through next September. We've also recruited a new board of directors, so we have 19 members now, and today was the first day that we brought 16 new members onto our board. You'll see the second page is our current roster for our board of directors, and we're extremely pleased with who sits on that board. So we have representation from the school district, the city, Panhandle Health, Kootenai County Young Professionals, Department of Labor, the tribe, and more, as you can see. In addition to all the administrative work that we've done, we've also continued to work on fundraising for this Phase 2, Year 2. Right now, we're 72% funded through September. Through October. So we just need to finish up with about $29,000. Since you have donated to us, also Lewis Clark State College has donated, JUB Engineers, Coleman Engineering, and I think you are aware the City of Coeur d'Alene also pitched in. We also have are having a lot of conversations with donors that contributed last year, and I feel fairly confident that we will receive follow-up funding from them as well. As far as implementation has gone, I think just tonight you've heard from a couple people that have mentioned Vision 2030 and actions are moving in our community. I myself have been involved with helping to facilitate yesterday's Lake Festival and Education Program, which was a huge success. Over 200 people attended, and they actually sold out of registration availability 14 days before the program, so that was great. We're also working with other community projects like the Let's Move campaign to battle childhood obesity along with the city and Panhandle Health. Other notable projects that are happening, I think there's a temporary cyclocross track that has gone in, and that's one of the actions in our plan. And so there's a lot of great things happening. We also are working in other community groups to look at grant programs. One of them is the America's Best Communities grant. Since we've done the visioning process, this has really positioned us well to succeed in this grant proposal. So we're extremely excited that we are applying, and a lot of the questions that are asked of the grant we actually already have answers for since we've done the visioning process. So that's where we are at. Does anyone on the board have questions?
Questions of Nicole? Thanks for that
Thank you.
update.
I appreciate it.
Been busy.
Great job.
Okay, that takes us to our committee reports. First one being, as always, Finance. Rod.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, let's go ahead and look at the Lake District first, and we'll look at the balance sheet. And on the balance sheet, we have a large increase of cash compared to the prior month, and that was primarily due to we took the final draw on our bond, line of credit of $1,250,000. I'll come back to that issue in a minute. There were no other significant items on the asset side. On the liability side, as you can imagine, because of that draw, our mortgage and notes payable line has increased $1,234,181. That's a result of the $1.25 million draw and our typical payments during the month on the debt obligations of $15,819. So before I go to the profit and loss on the Lake District, I'd like Tony to provide you a little insight as to the draw we took of $1,250,000 and the reason we did it when we did it. So.
Sure. As you recall, we included this potential draw in our fiscal year 15 budget because of the time frame associated with the original line of credit with Washington Trust Bank, the $16.7 million, based on advice from our legal counsel that we needed to spend those funds within 3 years. And believe it or not, 3 years has passed, and we closed in on it at the end of September, early October. So that's why we made that final draw on the line of credit. We didn't max out the entire 16.7. We came close, but we didn't max it out, and that was our final draw, and we're currently working with the bank and Danielle to basically amortize the remaining debt we have and really dial into payments that we'll have in the out years until 2021.
Any questions, concerning that draw? Okay.
3 years went by quickly.
3 years goes really fast, yeah.
And the majority of that draw will be used towards acquisition of the railroad right-of-way that we just talked about.
That's a good point, Tony. That's where a lot of it's going to go. So if you go to the profit and loss statement for, again, the Lake District, you'll see property tax revenue of just slightly over $29,000. We had some rent income of $12,124, and we had total revenues from all sources of $41,940. On the expense area for the district, if you go down just part way, you'll see grant program of $25,000. That's a line item value that's paid to the Coeur d'Alene Vision Initiative to help them on their 2-year project. Everything else stayed about in line with where they would be this time of the year and this month. So that's where the activity was. If you could go to the River District next, in the River District, and we'll go with the balance sheet, the River District did experience a small decrease in cash from the September statement of $6,645. There's really not any other activity in that district this month of any significance at all. If you go to the liability section on, again, the River District, everything stays about the same, and we did have included the 2% credit to the due to the arts line item. If you go to the profit and loss, let's go to the profit and loss statement for the River District. You'll see a small amount of tax revenue of $556 that came in for the month. And then all the expenses for the month were basically the sharing between the two districts of our operating costs to run the organization. So nothing of any consequence on the profit and loss for the River District. Next, we'll go to the payables, and I think Tony just passed out a new one. The payables this month are a little less lengthy and expensive than they've been in the months when we were finishing up McEwen and some other projects. But you can see with Holly Troxel, we've spent some money on the Burlington Northern Railroad acquisition, $1,880 total for that line item, $3,091. And then we have spent some money on the process of the liquidation of property and to sell it, and also the 609 Lofts property assignment of the note of $1,588.50 for a total of $4,679.50. Our government relations bill for October, $1,889.40, and then Range Northwest final payment for the Robinson Research Survey, $7,870. So total payables of $14,438.90, which is quite a bit less than we were experiencing over the summer months. And most of the bills are fairly typical, with the exception of the railroad and the property, selling the property. That's not something we do all the time. So any questions about the financials or the payables?
Chair, entertain a motion to accept and approve the financials and the payables.
So moved. Second.
Seconded. All those in favor? Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. Next item on the agenda for the Finance Committee was the assignment of the Gringo Property LLC on one of the notes we had. And Tony, maybe you could bring everybody up to speed on that.
Sure. I've shared this information with you, but for the benefit of the audience and the viewing audience, the owners of the 609 Sherman Avenue Loft project have decided to refinance their interest in the project, so to speak, with a third party named Gringo Properties LLC. Including in the project's refinancing matrix is the LCDC's 609 Sherman Avenue Loft IRA note that we established in 2011 with an original principal amount of $404,993. These notes are assignable. There is an assignable clause in these notes that we make available, and the original owners of the Loft project are exercising that assignment right. So Danielle has done a great job of crafting the assignment of payment rights document that I shared with you. And basically, this went through the Finance Committee, and one of the questions the Finance Committee had was, are the buyers, our Gringo Properties LLC, sophisticated buyers understanding what they are buying. In other words, do they know what an IRA note is? Do they understand they're being reimbursed for these different improvements and so forth? And Danielle got in touch with the Gringo Properties folks, and they are fully aware, and they are sophisticated investors and understand this document and have signed a letter indicating such. That's in our file. So basically, the question from the board tonight is, would you agree to the assignment as requested by the owners of the note? How'd I do, Danielle? Did I miss anything?
Nope, I think that's a pretty good summary.
Yeah, and we have done that before
Right.
with Riverstone project. And depending on how the district pays out, that's why it needs to be a sophisticated buyer, because they may or may not get the full dollar amount of the stated note.
I think that was smart that you got a letter of understanding from them.
Well, we always ask for a letter in the event of an assignment, also just to ensure that they are sophisticated, they acknowledge they're sophisticated, and also that they don't have intent to further transfer it without our knowledge. So we want to always be on top of that, making sure that it is an appropriate purchaser who understands what they're getting, so they don't come back up against you, say, I thought this was a regular promissory note, no contingency.
No strings attached.
So I think that's great documentation.
Is there any
That's why we have a
potential,
lawyer.
any potential downside to this?
I don't think so. Frankly, this is one where we've been holding payments because we couldn't get authorization from the owners on who to pay. So now at least you know who to pay. So you don't have this contingency
And
hanging
they're
out
aware
there.
of that?
Oh, yeah. It won't be too long before we get a request to cut those funds we've been holding, I imagine.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Any other questions on this? I am recused. I've been recused all the way along on 609 Sherman just because I helped create the entity that developed that. That's all I did, but I'm still recusing myself, even though that's been many years ago.
Prior to you being on the board, I think.
I can't. No, not that long.
Not that long? It's been a while.
Been a while, anyway.
Yeah.
So do we need a motion and an approval?
We do. We need a motion to approve that assignment.
I'll make the motion that we approve the assignment to Gringo Properties LLC as outlined.
Second.
Any discussion? Not. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have for the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Rod. Housing Committee, Commissioner Goodlander's gone. We do have our walkabout in Midtown tomorrow at 1, so you're welcome to join us.
Are we starting across the street from Capone?
Yeah.
Or at Capone's?
Across the street from Capone.
Okay, across the street from Capone's. Bundle up. And that's all I know about housing. Tony, you have anything else to add?
No.
All right, Parking Committee, Commissioner Jordan?
I just
Anything
have
new
a
on
real,
that front?
pardon me?
Anything new on that front?
Just a real brief update. We're just doing some, I guess, looking at doing some minor, maybe adjusting on maybe the parking regulations around the library to try and accommodate some people that, come here and they're legitimately using the library, but they need to be here more than 2 hours. So we're working on, some ways to deal with that and try to be fair with people. We're always looking at some ways to try and make the new parking structure as user-friendly as it can be and understandable to people. And we're also having some ongoing work on the downtown Central Business District handicap parking spaces. So I'll probably have a report for you in a couple of months on all these things when we have another meeting.
Thank you for that report. Communications Committee, Commissioner Patzer.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I'd like to brief you all a little bit on kind of a synopsis of the Robinson survey that we recently undertook this fall, kind of the mechanics of what went on and a little bit of the kind of the summary of the feedback, and then some recommendations where we go from here. And this has all been vetted with the Communications Committee. We've met a couple of times since our last meeting. So anyhow, the survey was done this fall, and they conducted, their goal was to gain 600 valid samples. They did it by telephone of adults that are 18 years and older in the Coeur d'Alene community. This occurred between September 3rd and October 7th. The margin of error that they advocated was just under 4%. What that means is that the results have a 95% chance of coming within that 4% of the results that would have been attained if all qualifying households had been included in the survey. So 95% accuracy is what the goal was from the feedback from these 600 people. Here's kind of what we learned, or what I'm conveying to you. 65% of the people that were surveyed have no awareness of LCDC. 73% have no idea what the acronym LCDC means. It's a vague acronym and sounds very corporate when explained to people. The term urban renewal and TIF, or tax increment financing, are not understood. The term community projects is widely understood. The major benefit of LCDC is that the LCDC projects beautify the city. And the Kroc Center, the Coeur d'Alene Public Library are very well appreciated LCDC projects. And the last bullet I want to leave you with is that 49% of the people that were surveyed would vote in favor of the city of Coeur d'Alene continuing its relationship with us. So, although not a vast majority understood, there is roughly a 50% majority that would like to see us continue doing, just want to understand more what we do. So what the results kind of provide us, or will really do provide us with, is a benchmark from which we can now focus as we go forward with future educational endeavors by this group. So we've got a pretty big chunk of the population, as we kind of felt going into this thing, that haven't heard of us, and don't, if they have heard of us, they don't quite understand what we do, but they're still pretty much 50-50 willing for us to continue what we're doing, taking that risk. So, bless them for the faith they've got. So in that regards, we've met with the range folks and are continuing to kind of chart a direction forward from this with some potential makeovers of certain things, kind of a communication strategy, how we can go out and educate. Because I think it's important that people understand what we're doing and how we're spending their money. So that's kind of the first thing. I don't know if anybody has any questions on that.
Well stated.
Yeah, it's interesting for sure, because us as volunteers have been doing this for a while, so we're totally engaged and know how it works and all those things. But it is a difficult concept to explain and to understand. It takes time. So interesting.
So I'm trying to recall, did you have on the projects such as the trails and the library and so forth, was there a percentage on that, or it just said overwhelming support?
You just talked about we're well appreciated. I don't know the exact numbers, but it was over 50%.
That data will be somewhere in the results.
So we don't have all the data
It's
yet.
just a summary of it, yeah.
Okay.
And so one of the things, obviously, is that we've got some projects that we have been affiliated with or linked with, and the public is pretty positive about that. But the other part of it is one of the educational things has been that we haven't told people what we have been involved with. So that's one of the things, strategy-wise, we're moving forward on. Okay. The second thing I'd like to bring forward is the videos that we did, what's that, about 2 years ago?
Actually, last year, just in 2013.
Yeah. One of the participants, or one of the interviews in the video, is no longer in business in Riverstone. And we think it's important, as one of our strategies, is that we keep that information as fresh as possible. So we've talked to the range group that did the video for us about doing some editing and maybe some additional interviews with some existing folks that we can cut and edit and keep that informational fresh that's in that video. In that regards, they've come back with an estimate for us of about $1,100 to do that. And one of the key components of that process is being able to engage the same voice talent that was used before. And so that's one of the things that Range is checking on to make sure that they can do that. But it's an undertaking when you talk about editing and plugging something in and linking the voice and make it flow. But it's not anything that they haven't done before, so this is what they're after. Additionally, there's an option that we talked about yesterday that not only just interviewing one particular person, but maybe do several. And I don't want to say we bank some people, but we go out there and create some interviews that we can use in future endeavors as we go forward with some other communication initiatives. So that included with what we got would be a number not to exceed $2,500.
Including the initial.
Including the initial, yeah. So I'm asking you all for your thoughts, your perspective, and ultimately your guidance in approving this direction right now, because we're running into the spring, and we want to make sure that we have an opportunity to start working towards updating this. I know that I think Denny and Tony, you folks, did you make a presentation this morning to?
At lunchtime. Yeah.
Lunchtime. Okay, and in using some of the tools we have, some of these videos we have, has been very effective. And so we want to make sure that, we're going, well, those guys used to be, now they're not there anymore. We want to make sure that it's current and relevant to this ongoing educational endeavor that we've taken on. So,
And just so you know, I presented to the Kiwanis Club today at noon, and they were very appreciative of the video. They really thought it was well done. And there's room for a continuous improvement. So,
Dave, how often do they suggest we update the video and freshen it up? Is it
as needed?
Okay.
As we do further on projects, let McEwen, you might say, mature a little bit from what we have done. Will be maybe a future update that we'd like to do on this, but we're forecasting or projecting to do that down the road a little ways. So we want to get everything in place before we go out and start taking pictures of it, because as soon as you do that, you establish a date stamp to it.
So these audio-visual aids are very helpful when you're doing your presentations, right, Tony?
oh, very valuable, yeah.
Well, I agree with you. It needs to stay current.
So I'd ask for your blessing in the form. I don't know if you need a motion or.
Do need a motion to authorize that up to $2,500 to update the video.
I'll motion to do that.
Is there a second?
Do up to $2,500 to update the videos.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Yeah, Scott seconded. Yeah, I think it's a reasonable price given the value. Tony and I both went and presented to the Jobs Plus board and got very good feedback on how particularly the graphics in that video explain tax increment financing. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a valuable tool that we're trying to use a lot. I know Tony does it for the Leadership Coeur d'Alene program each year, and there are probably some other opportunities too out there.
And that's one you can download from our website as well,
Yeah,
correct?
it's on our homepage on the website.
So I thought, okay, good.
Well, you lose a lot of the positive impact if it isn't current. So I think you should do that.
Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. Thank you. That's all
Good
I've got.
report. Thank you, Dave. Jobs Committee, Mick?
No report this month.
Okay. This is good because there's a basketball game tonight we have to go see. Executive Director's report with that caveat.
With that note,
Yeah.
just one item, Mr. Chairman, that just a four-corner project update. Commissioner Patzer serves on the steering committee, and the team Welch Comer, plans to have a four-corner project workshop in early December. I don't believe they've set a date yet, have they?
December 4th.
December 4th,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
December
Thursday.
4th.
You know where that's going to be, Tony or Dave?
I think it's going to be in the community room here, and I believe
here?
it's 5:30. It's early evening, yeah. Don't quote me on that, but it's going to be after normal working hours
So people
here.
should watch for announcements on that and pencil that in their calendar.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Tony.
Go Gonzaga.
Board Commissioner comments? Anybody have anything else for the good of the order?
You don't want any, do you?
Oh, sure. Go ahead, Brad. You get 30 seconds. Public comment. Any other public comment in the crowd? Our crowd of onlookers has kind of dwindled a little bit to the diehards.
Thank you for staying.
Yeah.
No public comment, so
Yeah.
Thank you for coming and staying. So with that, I would, is there a second motion to adjourn and second it? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.